Of the 10 principles provided in the article, which of these do you think is most a strength of yours within your own teaching practice, and explain why?
Out of the 10 principles mentioned in the article, I would say scaffolding is my area of strength. When I look at my students' results across the years, it's when I've kind of used scaffolding and I've used it more and more that my students' results have improved. And as well as that modelling answers on the board. So yeah, I would say that's my personal strength.
I would say that I've really come a long way in requiring and monitoring independent practice since I started flipping my classrooms. Does take a lot of guiding and modelling, number 5, and scaffolding, which is number 8. But I think given whether it's an in-flip or an out-flip, a lot of my students really have to lift their game and how much they are pacing themselves and all those kinds of things.
Strength I've got there is the number 6, we're checking student understanding in each point. We do that through a variety of sources, a variety of different ways, but we seem to do it consistently. Cheers.
Just adding to that, I think that that's really an area that digital technologies have enhanced our practice in, is being able to do those quick moments of feedback for all students at several points of time. The difference between doing that digitally and with pen and paper, I think, has really made a big difference to teachers' practice.
So my strength, I was going to say scaffolding, but Nate beat me to it, which makes me think that perhaps content areas have particular strengths which all teachers within that discipline hold. I'd love to see if you agree or disagree, but I'm going to go with modelling and worked examples. So rather than providing exemplars, worked examples is kind of working it out and describing the metacognition as you go.
Out of that article, that list of 10, I think my personal strength is the worked examples and providing models. And maybe it is a disciplinary thing because that's a very English teachery thing to do. I was always pretty good at the worked examples, but something I'm stronger at now is providing lots of different models. So students aren't just seeing how brilliant me does it, but lots of different ways that aren't how I would do it too.
Okay, so one of my strengths is number 9, the guiding of independent work. I've been observed that that's kind of where I seem to be in a lot of my lessons by other teachers. It also, I think it's important because you have a pen and you can go around and actually give feedback, like written feedback to students. And it's also an opportunity for the quieter ones, the kids anyway, to have an opportunity to have a discussion with you about what their understanding is and kind of probe them. So I really like that aspect.
So I think my personal strength is the starting each lesson with a bit of a review. So number 1, straight off the bat, I was like, boom. I read the rest of the article, but that's where I think I'm all right at. We work really hard on having a bit of retrieval practice at the beginning of our lessons. And we run a flip model, so we go, boom, retrieval practice, question from last night, question from a week ago, question from about 6 months ago. And that's where I think I do all right. I think that's a strength of mine.
Hi, I think my strength, and I'm not very good at articulating my strengths, would probably be number 1, beginning a lesson with a short review of previous learning. Flipping my classroom means that I need to have my students check in, and so at the start of every lesson we have structure strips, which are structured questions that review the content from the previous night's episodes. So I think I do that all right, and the kids really, really enjoy doing their structure strips. So yep, number 1 for me.
So for me, one of my strengths is principle number 4, which was providing models. I think that comes about because of my teaching maths, especially in the past few years, something I still need to work on, but it's one of my strengths because we're constantly having to provide models to show students what they need to, be able to do and learn.
My personal strength would be the daily review. I think that having a recap at the start of the lesson is a really good way to create structure, and I find that the students really like the routine aspect of knowing that they're coming into the room and the first thing they're going to do is answer a question or have a little quiz about what they did last lesson.
One of my strengths is the review process that I use. So number 1, I start each lesson with asking students if they've had any questions from the video that they watched. I then ask them questions using a random picker, so it's not the same kids every time. And then I review the video. I've also started adding in a retrieval practice activity at the start of each lesson so that they're getting that consistent review going into number 10.